Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first video, hi, I'm Alaina, and this is the Organized Money, where we talk about planning life and managing money. In today's video, we are diving into my monthly budget with me. We are budgeting the month of August, and I'm just going to be decorating my spread and walking you through how I set up my monthly budget. The very first thing that I am doing is writing down and brain dumping everything that's going to happen this particular month. I love using this sheet, which is at the front of my monthly spread, in order to kind of brain dump anything that I plan on paying or doing for this particular month. I start off with my monthly fixed expenses. Usually they calculate out to $5,000. Then I will dive into my variable expenses for the month. So I will break it down by 3 categories, which is groceries, eating out, and other, which includes shopping and personal expenses. So once I break these down, this is where I am kind of calculating how much I am planning on spending in these particular categories. For groceries, I have been sticking to around $200 per week. Eating out has been about $150 per week, and shopping, other expenses, has been $100 per week. So that's where our personal money is allocated to, and I can use that to kind of give ourselves a little bit of freedom and breathing room to spend a little bit of extra money if we need to. On the next page, what I am doing here is actually setting up my monthly spread. I love to use my monthly spread in order to put down all of the expenses that I am planning on paying for this particular month. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is add all of my dates. So this planner is an undated planner, so I always have to go in and add my dates first so that I can lay them all out, and then I will add my bills. So this spread is one of my favorite spreads in my budget planner, because what it allows me to do is basically lay out everything that's going to happen for this particular month, and then I can write down anything that I believe is going to cost me money. So as you can see, I listed out the very first thing was my children going back to school, which reminded me that I needed to purchase their school supplies and their uniforms, and I needed to have money set aside for that. After I have dated my entire month, the next step that I'm going to do is to lay down some stickers. Now, this is definitely optional. You don't have to add stickers into your monthly budget if you don't want to. I enjoy adding stickers because I feel like it makes it a little bit easier for me to flip to this page and update my budget every single week, so that's why I do so. This month's theme is a back to school theme, so I am laying them all out, and I'm also blocking out my travel. We do have to do some travel for the church, and even though that is not a personal expense, it is a business budget expense that needs to be written down, I still like to mark it off just to remind myself that that is something that is coming up. After I have laid out all of my stickers, the next step is to start to write down all of the expenses that I have coming up. Now, last month when I did this, I only put on this sheet my fixed expenses, meaning all of the monthly bills that I had, and I did not lay down any variable expenses. I am going to make that change this month. I am going to also add in my variable expenses for each week. I realized that when I did not add them down for each particular week, I did not pay attention to them as much, and we ended up overspending in the month of July. Now, we did have a lot going on in the month of July. We did a lot of travel in this month, which definitely caused us to go over our budget and for me not to pay as much of attention as I usually do. However, I do want to correct that for the month of August, and I do want to pay extra attention in the month of August to get us back on track. So I am going to put down all of our fixed expenses, and then afterwards I am going to come back and put down all of our variable expenses so that I can keep track on a weekly basis. And if you struggle with figuring out your variable expenses, the very best place to start is looking at your transactions. Look and review your bank transactions, see how much you are currently spending, and then try and stay around that amount and put it actually into your budget. So with us, we normally will spend between 100 and 150 eating out. And so once I saw that on my bank transactions, I just basically put it into our budget because it's something that we really enjoy doing. The next thing that I'm going to do is actually write down everything on my monthly budget sheet. With my monthly budget sheet, I am making an adjustment on how I actually complete this sheet. So normally I would add a line item per item and add in how much I'm going to spend for the entire month on that item. So for instance, for groceries, I would add groceries and then put $800 because that's what I plan on spending for the entire month. I am making a change this month because I realized that if I added groceries for $800 and I spent $250, then I didn't realize that I actually had went over budget for week 1, and I wouldn't notice that I was actually over budget until I got to like week 3 or week 4, and it was too late for me to make small adjustments and to fix me going over budget. So what I am deciding to do now is actually break down all of my variable expenses by the week. So week 1 for groceries, week 2 for groceries, I have broken it down, and as you can see on this page, it's broken down by the weekly number, and I just put week 1, week 2, week 3 next to it. For any variable expense that I have, which are 3 categories, the groceries, the eating out, and the shopping, those are broken down by the weeks, which means that I'm actually going to go over on this particular sheet because I am going into more detail. But that's okay. I'm just going to get another sheet and then I can add it behind this one and continue and use 2 sheets for this spread. And I know that I only need to do the weekly breakdown for my variable expenses because those are the only expenses where I go over budget. With all of my other monthly fixed bills, they are pretty set and I never go over budget on those. But when it comes down to eating out and getting groceries and shopping and other personal expenses, those are the areas where I will usually go over budget. So I am going to keep a little bit more of an eye on those. The last category is gas that I am adding under my variable expenses, and then of course back to school. And I just realized that I'm probably going to need a little bit more money, so I added $50 to that category. The next thing that I'm going to do is add up all of my projected expenses. So in this process, I'm basically calculating how much I need to move over from my savings account into my checking account. Now remember that all of my money goes into my business account, and then I add up how much I need for the entire month, and then I will transfer that money, basically paying myself, into my bill account, and then that's what I use for the entire month. My goal is to only do one transfer because I want all of the accounts to build and I want to stick to my budget. So that's what I am doing in this process, is seeing how much I am going to need for this entire month, and then I am calculating it out so that I can do that transfer or basically pay myself for the month. I have made it a goal to only pay myself once per month, and then that way I know that I am sticking to my budget. So now that that is set up, the next thing that I'm going to do is break down my variable expenses into week 1 on my paycheck budget sheet. So since I only pay myself once per month, I mainly use my paycheck budget sheets now in order to keep track of how much I am spending with my variable expenses. So by this time, all of my monthly expenses are covered, all of my bills are already paid, all fixed expenses are already taken care of, but I do need to keep track of all of the other variable categories. So I am looking at how much I am planning on spending on groceries, eating out, shopping, and gas for week 1. Adding that up, it's going to be $500 for the budget for the week. And I am basically putting it on here, and then as I have transactions come through for this week, I'm just going to add it underneath this section. So then that way I know how much I've spent each week. So now I'm just keeping track of all of my savings account. The first one up is my short-term savings account, which is where I keep track of any type of repairs that we may need. Currently we have $6,500 in this account. My goal is to get it back up to $7,000 and add $500 throughout the course of the month. Hopefully we won't need anything and there will be no withdrawals this month. The next one is my long-term savings account, and this is my emergency fund. This is if anything ever happened to our income, and the goal is to get this one up to $21,000 by the end of the month. And so I'm just setting it up so that I can keep track of my deposits throughout the course of this month. At the bottom, I do like to keep track of my investments. So my goal for this month is to invest another $1,000 into our Roth IRA. So I'm just basically setting it up here, putting that is my goal. And then that way, anytime I make any type of deposit throughout the course of the month, I am able to keep track of how much I have actually deposited. On my last page, my last tracker is my sinking fund tracker. This is the one that I use for my capital account. Currently, I am only savings for tithes and taxes out of this account. Now, this one is linked to my business account. It is not linked to a personal account. So this one pulls from my business account for tithes and taxes, and I am able to kind of stay on top of it. And then at the end of every single month, I basically move the money over and I pay my tithes. And that is it for this spread. I hope that this monthly budget with me has helped you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, keep organizing your life so that you can achieve your dreams. Talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.